My name is Helen Ting. I'm a Malaysian working in a research institute called Institute of Malaysian and International Studies, which is based in the National University of Malaysia, UKM. For me, pluralism, a pluralist society is where diversity and different way of life is accommodated in the running of public institutions. Practices with a wider social ethical implications are negotiated based on goodwill, fairness, and reciprocity, bearing in mind the well-being and rights of individuals and society. I think there are two different levels, two different elements which are important. One is at the institutional level and another at individual level. So with pluralism normally assumes there is diversity of cultural and religious affiliations, and so at times conflict and dispute is inevitable. So that would require institutions of mediation at different levels to arbitrate. And I think the important thing is that it be done fairly and consistently and based on informed background knowledge. On the other hand, I think to maintain a pluralist society, citizens need to be inculcated with pluralist values, and also in terms of practice, it should be entrenched in daily practices and day-to-day functioning of society. So the obstacle will be if the institutions does not work fairly, that will be eroding the so-called pluralist nature of the society. And if the citizens are not receptive to the idea and they don't understand, they may contest certain decisions and practices, and that may also lead to erosion of pluralist ideas. I think that I acknowledge that insecurity from both may reinforce each other. It's true that very often the so-called political entrepreneurs, they will use economic anxieties to mobilize people. But I think it's only when socio-economic status correspond with the so-called ethnic identity or with the community. But on the other hand, I think at times mobilization of ethnicity can also arise on issues judged to affect ethnic interests or issues specific to the community, which may not necessarily be economic. So sometimes I think we need to look at ethnic identity not just merely from instrumental point of view, but also through identity lens. I think that is important. So ethnic mobilization should not just be dismissed as due to economic considerations, but sometimes it could be due to what the identity issue may be at stake. I think socio-economic well-being is an important condition to social inclusion. However, socio-economic status is not all there is as source of well-being. I think at times fair and equal treatment and respect is equally important. So resolving poverty and socio-economic exclusion is important, but I think what is equally important is respect and fair treatment. I think poverty needs to be tackled and measures need to be tailored to address the poverty issue. But at the same time, I'm looking at the Malaysian case. There are communities which is well off enough as a whole, but may not feel that may not be happy as citizens because at times they felt that they were unfairly treated. So that's why I say that it's not poverty only, but sometimes other issues are also equally important.
The appearance of unfairness at the hands of different perspectives.
Yes, sometimes issues of equal citizenship, issues of discrimination, and so on. Yeah. Well, I think it depends on the context. I think that if there is a policy of redistribution, it should be based on fairness, and I think that the advantaged group should be convinced that redistribution policy is also in their interest, and it should be done fairly and not just benefiting the elites of the so-called disadvantaged group, which may not be as deprived as the community as a whole, I think. Yeah, I think leadership is important. Very often, I think in a plural society, leaders also have ethnic affiliation, and they may look to their ethnic groups for support, and if it comes from majority ethnic group, it may not be easy for them to make a good policy decision. But that will need statesmanship on the part of the leader.
I think your point is well taken. I think that's one of the biggest, that is one, I would say, challenge for a lot of these situations, is the construct is lopsided in terms of the support for the leadership.
Yes. Yeah, I think, I guess sometimes we cannot depend on the leader, but have to work on the institution, so that the institution is an enabling factor to help the political machinery. Yeah.